So my name's Emily Edison. I'm a sports dietitian. Okay, foods that help with injuries. Again, if you're an athlete, you've been injured at some point in your life. If you're a coach, you've probably been injured too, because I'm sure you played your sport at some point, and you probably still do. So one thing I always say to an athlete is when they're injured, it's important to think about three things, really. There's four up here, but I'm going to just say three. I want you to really think about getting plenty of vitamins and minerals in. And that means, to me, eat more color. Pretty simple. When you're looking at your plate, if this is your plate, if it's different shades of brown, there's not a lot of vitamin and mineral content. I don't mean how many shades of brown can you get on your plate. It's let's really see if we can eat the rainbow. Lots of colors. More colors are better. I challenge athletes to get at least 3 colors at their meals. What's going to happen there is they're going to bring more vitamins and minerals into the mix. And there are certainly some vitamins and minerals that are more important than others in healing. If it's a bone break, calcium is going to be really important. I recommend increasing milk intake. If someone is not a milk drinker, or they have lactose intolerant, or they have a milk allergy, I recommend a calcium supplement. I think that's actually really important for healing of bone. I believe that a multivitamin is kind of like an insurance policy. You may not need it, but it's going to be there in case you do. And it doesn't have to be, though, one of these fancy, expensive ones from I don't want to bring up any supplement names, but GNC or something like that. It can just be Costco. Buy a big tub of them, divide them up between your friends, and take one a day. I recommend that if you're going to take a multivitamin, that you put it by your toothbrush, because you're always going to brush your teeth, hopefully. And and you can that can get you in the habit of taking a multivitamin. I'm not a huge fan of these like gummy bear kind of vitamins, and my reasoning behind that is that kids think of them as candy, and they can actually take too many. So that can be a problem. Obviously, we don't want to have anyone overdosing on a multivitamin. But so that's sort of a general. The other thing I would say is, as a coach, if you can give them great ways to sneak vegetables and fruits into things, you can give that to their parents, and that might help too. And on the mypyramid.gov site, there's a fantastic handout that says 10 easy ways to get more vegetables in your diet. And I think sometimes parents think, and maybe we think this too, that frozen vegetables aren't as good as fresh. And if you're in Yakima and it's summertime and it's all coming out of the fields and you've got like the plethora of vegetables, eat them fresh, please. But if you're in, Seattle and it's the middle of the winter and you're getting your broccoli from like deep South Mexico, you might as well just buy it frozen, because it was frozen the same day it was picked. So I'm a fan of frozen vegetables. I think that parents kind of feel a sense of relief sometimes when you go, you know what, frozen vegetables are just fine. Throw them in, put them in your soup, put them in your stir fry, whatever. Keep them on hand, buy them when they're on sale and stock up on them, things like that. And that mypyramid.gov site has some great tips for how to sneak more veggies in. Yeah. So I was saying 3 things. The vitamin and mineral status, so taking a multivitamin would be okay, but specifically if someone has a bone injury, checking with calcium intake, it really can help speed healing. The research is really conclusive on that. The other things to think about, zinc, iron, those ones are going to help with healing of tissue. So if you've got a strained ligament, let me give you a couple of foods. Zinc, really easy food to put in is seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sprinkling sesame seeds on things, but usually sunflower seeds are the easiest one, right, for our kids, is high. And zinc's also a big immune system booster. So if you've got a big cold thing going on your team, fire out the sunflower seeds and start getting that zinc up in your athletes. Iron, obviously, red meat is the best source for iron. You can certainly get some from vegetables. However, I will say that in order to get the same amount of iron from a vegetable source, it takes you about 60 times as much. That's a lot of spinach. It's a lot of spinach. Vitamin D is going to come mostly from milk and sunlight. If you're a West Coast athlete in the Seattle area, not a lot of sunlight around this year. So I've been recommending a vitamin D supplement for most of my athletes once they've been tested. Has anyone here had their vitamin D level tested? And then how many of those people were low? Just keep your hand up. Yeah. Almost everyone I've ever had vitamin D level tested is low, and usually significantly low. And we're seeing very, very interesting correlations between low vitamin D levels and different forms of cancer, potentially muscular dystrophy. And, oh, I'm sorry, multiple sclerosis, sorry. Rewind that. And then also we're seeing interesting connection between low vitamin D status and depression. So these are things you definitely want to check in with your athletes about. Modifying caloric intake. Some athletes will need slightly more calories when they're injured because it's about, we have about a 10% increase with injury. So make sure that athletes are eating enough when they're injured. Some athletes get really worried about not being able to exercise and will actually stop eating or eat very little. So especially your very weight conscious athletes, please be concerned about that and help them make sure that they're getting enough protein.